traditional rulers and with the people of Nigeria, unveils 3 major bridges: the Loko-Oweto Bridge, the Second Niger Bridge, and the Econ bridges, a completed section of over 200 kilometers of road on the Kano-Kaduna Highway, and 3 new federal secretariats in Guzo, Awka, and Yenigua. Today, Mr. President will connect Benue to Nasarawa on the Loko-Oweto Bridge, Cross River to Benue on the Econ Bridge, and Anambra to Delta on the Second Niger Bridge, and literally connect many parts of Nigeria to themselves. In the same vein, we will link Kano to Kaduna on the Kaduna Highway, on the Kaduna-Kano Highway, and we will impact Zamfara, Bayelsa, and Anambra again directly through their secretariats. This is a story of development and a story of people, all of which cannot be fully told here. But I will try, starting from the President himself and Commander-in-Chief, whose leadership, support, and opportunity afforded us to serve has made all this possible. There is the story of the cabinet members, from His Excellency the Vice President, and my colleagues, ministers in the cabinet, whose support for the various memoranda in council made these projects possible. Some of those memoranda that you spent hours to debate and approve have now yielded some fruit. Of course, there is a story of our legislators in both chambers of parliament who were part of this development. They appropriated, they approved where necessary, and oversighted all through the projects, but they never obstructed. There's the story of the state governors, their commissioners, and their traditional rulers. This story must be told about how the federal, state government, and traditional institutions can and must work together to deliver development and prosperity. The story of men and women who worked on these construction sites is an unforgettable one. Not only were these site places of employment for them to earn a living, to support their families, I saw in them men and women, boys and girls, involved in the dignifying and patriotic work of nation building. The story of the economic activity that took place at these sites is a most compelling one. Thousands of tons of construction materials, sand, cement, diesel, reinforcement, bitumen, aggregates were bought, sold, and transported over the period. This was a period of boom for small and family-owned businesses who supplied the contractors. It is perhaps the clearest narrative about how infrastructure benefits the people and how this drives the services sector of the economy that employs the most people. It is the story of how the Muhammadu Buhari policies meet the people at their point of need, even if many of those people will never meet Muhammadu Buhari in person. Another story to tell is that prosperity is already being delivered by these projects. Travel time is reduced in more than 50% in many of the places that we surveyed. Property values of landowners have appreciated by up to 30% in surveys conducted on land values where we have delivered infrastructure. These are some of the attempts by this government to push back against multidimensional poverty, because the Loko-Oweto Bridge now reduces travel time to Abuja by 4 hours, and with the Second Niger Bridge, it will now take only a few minutes instead of hours to cross the River Niger, which is a crossing of approximately 1.5 kilometers. The Calabar port also now has a story of improved patronage to tell. An efficient import and export business can only help in the pushback against poverty. With regards to the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, I want to tell the story of a successful working relationship with the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority under the previous managing director, Mr. Uche Orji, and also the present one, Aminu Umar Sadiq, and their management team. They were worthy managers and custodians of the Presidential Infrastructural Development Fund. I cannot forget the story also of my working relationship with Your Excellency's office through your chiefs of staff, the late Abakari of blessed memory, and of course, the amiable Professor Ibrahim Gambari. With their collaboration, the Attorney General, and of course, the Minister of Finance, Budget, and National Planning, we have delivered the second Niger Bridge. We have delivered 200 kilometers out of 365 kilometers of the Kano-Abuja highway, and we have delivered 114 kilometers of the 127 kilometers Lagos-Ibadan highway. Mr. President, please permit me to pause here by those who may wonder why the Lagos-Ibadan highway is not being commissioned also today. There's a critical section in the 4-kilometer last mile to Lagos, and it's technical, but what has delayed it really is we found black cotton soil under the pavement, and we have decided that we will remove it and we will replace it so that we do a proper job instead of a hurried commissioning. So that will be deferred to the next administration, and the expected completion date is 30th of June. But it is not my pleasure, sir, to invite you, Your Excellency, to dedicate and hand over the following projects for public use. The first is the Zamfara Federal Secretariat, Guzo, the Bayelsa Federal Secretariat, Yenegua, the Anambra Federal Secretariat in Oka, the Ikon Bridge in Cross River, the local Oweto Bridge linking Nasarawa and Benue. And because my colleagues in Cabinet and the governors of the Southeast who have spoken to me have decided that the second Niger Bridge must have a name, in consultation with them, we have decided that you will also declare open the Muhammadu Buhari second Niger Bridge, linking Anambra and Delta. And of course, 200 kilometers of Kaduna-Kano dual carriageway. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, His Excellency.
Representative of His Majesty Obi of Onitsha, Asagba of Asaba, and other royal fathers, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted that even the twilight of our tenure, we still render developmental services as we hand over 3 bridge projects, 3 federal secretariat projects, and 1 road project. These are only symbols of our efforts and commitment to upgrade, renew, and expand Nigeria's stock of infrastructure. We do not act on infrastructure by accident. It has been a deliberate choice for our government as a tool to fight poverty, to create economic growth and employment, and to open the path of prosperity for our people. I am not oblivious of the concerns and debates about our stock of public debt. Those concerns are legitimate and in many instances well-meaning. Many of the debts are tied to projects and are transparent and verifiable. What I have not heard enough of is the truth about the wealth and prosperity of many nations, especially post-war Europe. That wealth was built largely on infrastructure and on debt redeemed over decades. Some of the projects are commercially self-liquidating. Without investing in infrastructure, the road out of poverty is much tougher. So, as we look at the debt profile, I urge us to also look at the assets and investment profiles, some of which was paid for by debt and some by investment income. In 8 years, I am proud to say that we have doubled Nigeria's stock of infrastructure to GDP from about 20% to over 40%, and that is no small undertaking. This happened when global oil prices plunged to almost zero. When we encountered a recession that was not predicted, when we dealt with pandemic that was unforeseen, and when we are still grappling with the global effects of an ongoing war in Europe. The projects that we hand over today, apart from others such as rail, sea, and airports, gas pipeline projects that have been previously completed, symbolize our country's sharp focus on delivering prosperity. First, let me speak on the 3 bridges. The Econ Bridge is meant to boost trade in and around the Calabar port and free zone and facilitate transport connectivity from the south-south through the north-central to the northeast. This is a bridge across the river itself. Next is the second Niger bridge, which has been long in the making and is certainly now a reality. It is a bridge of choice across the river Niger to bring relief to those crossing from the southeast to southwest. And finally, the local Oweto Bridge across the river Benue to provide a shorter connectivity for those traversing from Benue to Nasarawa and the Federal Capital Territory. It cuts off travel through Lafia and provides connectivity to Kepi and to Abuja. These are truly bridges of connectivity, interaction, and integration across major rivers of commerce and opportunity such as the river Niger, Benue, and the Cross River. These are frontal efforts to address multidimensional poverty instead of lamenting about it. These bridges reduce travel time, improve business efficiency, and service delivery time. It is my honor and pleasure to declare them open for public use, and I wish all those who travel and traverse them safe journeys and pleasant travel experiences. Similarly, I have the honor to hand over for safe motoring the Kano to Kaduna section, comprising over 200 kilometers out of the 365 kilometers Abuja-Kano highway. While work continues on the 165 kilometers stretch of Abuja to Kaduna, the completed section is proof of our investment choices. The Abuja-Kano Road, the second Niger Bridge, and the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway were all funded partly from our dividend income and from investment in the NLNG repatriated funds from overseas and recoveries from proceeds of crime successfully prosecuted at home. This is an example of the change that we promised: to invest dividend income, invisible assets that last for generations, and put proceeds of crime to public and enduring use for the country. Our anti-corruption approach does not end in courts. Stolen and recovered assets are utilized for the common good. The Federal Secretariats in Oka, Yenagoa, and Gusau are proof of our commitment to complete as many projects as possible that we met. They resonate with our desire to reduce the cost of governance by bringing federal civil service servants under one roof for efficient service delivery. This will begin to produce our rent expenditure for office fees. I have approved the recommendation to dedicate these secretariats in honor of some illustrious citizens who have served our country. I therefore now have the honor to declare Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jelason, Federal Secretariat in Belsa State, Yenagoa. Ebele Okeke, Federal Secretary in Oka, Anambra State. And Malan Yahaya Gusau, Federal Secretary in Gusau, Zamfara State, orphan for public use. Thank you for listening, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I will make one comment out of context.